Thank you so much for starting off your weekend here with us. I'm Pete DeLuca. We are now seeing the extensive damage caused by these flames here in the 3300 block of Ridge Run Drive. I know it's hard to believe, but this is not a lake. This is actually Cravens Creek Road here in Roanoke. The roadway completely washed out by floodwaters. We're back with breaking news out of Henry County. A man is dead and his alleged shooter is in custody. The shooting happened last night just before 9 o'clock in the 1100 block of Jarrett Drive in Bassett. First, I'm going to call your attention to this sign you can see right here behind me. VDOT alerting drivers to the potentially hazardous road conditions. Within the past hour, we have now learned that a shooting did occur here last night along Theater Street in Martinsville. Police have made a new arrest in connection to a fatal shooting at a restaurant in February. We've learned that both deputies are now out of the hospital. One spent most of the day in treatment and was just released. The other was treated and released earlier this morning. This is also very heavy and wet packable snow. You can make really good snowballs. You're gonna make a nice snowman. The drive from Blacksburg to Roanoke is 86 miles round trip. The Fleet Services team makes this drive twice a day, 6 days a week. Law enforcement officers served more than 200 warrants and seized 18 guns. And take a look, there's a massive tree stump that has fallen across this power line. The vice president reflected on that 19th anniversary of 9/11. This is still very much an active scene, but not exactly the type of scene you might expect at a fire investigation. All the firefighters are now gone. They've been replaced by steel workers who are working on this wall right here behind me. The reset team gathered here today at this Go Mart where the shooting happened early Sunday morning. They then spread out talking to nearby business owners and people in the surrounding neighborhoods, offering information about resources available to them that can help them cope with trauma.
I'm here to provide you with some community assistance.
That's the goal each time Jermaine Johnson and fellow volunteers with Roanoke's reset team hit the street in the wake of a shooting.
We just want to direct you in the right direction.
The volunteers went door to door along Williamson Road Wednesday, talking to neighbors and business owners after a nearby shooting injured 2 men early Sunday morning.
We try to get out there and just to let them know that we're here. We understand, we see what's going on, and we just want to be that support for them.
I used to be them.
For Johnson, this outreach is personal.
I grew up in an environment that was negative. I know what some of the families are going through. I've had family members that have been lost their life through violence.
That's why he and his teammates are letting people know about community or health resources available to them if they need help overcoming the recent trauma in their neighborhood. Reset volunteers say their presence is often well received, and the response they typically hear from neighbors.
They feel like they have a right to be in a community that's free of violence, and it's just they want it to stop. It's affecting the entire community within that area, the children, the residents, everybody, and it's devastating. It's devastating.
Behind the wheel of this unassuming gray Chevy Impala is Craig Strain, a man as humble as the car he drives.
It's a community effort.
Over the past year, he and fellow Virginia Tech Fleet Services driver Jeff Holton have played an integral role in transporting every COVID test from Tech's Blacksburg campus to the Fralin Biomedical Research Institute in Roanoke. The drive from Blacksburg to Roanoke is 86 miles round trip. The Fleet Services team makes this drive twice a day, 6 days a week.
So we've driven about 30,000 miles.
And just like the Postal Service, neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night has stopped Strain.
Well, one night it did snow real hard before the salt trucks got out, and all the interstate coming up the mountain at Christiansburg was stopped, and that was a 3-hour trip.
Once the tests do arrive at Fralin around 1 and 6 p.m., they're run in the molecular diagnostics lab, turning around results in 24 hours.
We knew we had 9,000 students, and the health professionals had figured out a way to get the specimens collected from all 9,000. We knew how to analyze them here, but we didn't have a way to get from point A to point B. And so Fleet Services has been critical to our operation.
It's a smooth process from start to finish, all thanks to that community effort Strain loves to highlight that has contributed to Fralin Biomedical's processing of 126,000 COVID tests and counting. On the road from Blacksburg to Roanoke, Pete DeLuca, WDBJ7. Even with the smell of smoke still lingering in the air here tonight in this iconic building, now just a shell of what it once was, the good news here is that developer Dave McCormack remains committed to his plans to redevelop this Bedford mainstay.
We're in the business of fixing hopeless situations.
Developer Dave McCormack is remaining positive on a day where others in his shoes might feel helpless.
This building right now, the state that it's in, looks like most of the buildings we start with.
McCormack and his team at Waukesha Development specialize in turning old buildings into modern spectacles. That was and still is his plan for the old Bedford Middle School, despite a massive fire overnight tearing the iconic building apart from the inside out.
It's amazing to, even in a devastating situation like this, to meet people out on the street that went to school here, that are upset that this is happening, but telling their stories and everyone gathering around and supporting each other through a time like this. So that just, makes you even more convicted about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
The old middle school and the historic Old Yellow Schoolhouse next door are just part of McCormack's 8.5-acre site planned for apartments and a luxury hotel.
It's a shock. It's a tragedy. There's no other word for it.
The site is currently owned by the town of Bedford as the town and Waukesha Development partner to bring their plans of revamping a Bedford mainstay to fruition.
It affects us all personally because this is an important site that's pretty tightly related to our identity in this community.
Despite tragedy, both the developer and the town are committed to seeing this project through.
Someday we're going to look back on this as a big obstacle that we cleared in producing something that's going to contribute a lot of good for the community.
Now, McCormack and town officials are both anxiously awaiting more details on how this fire got started. They're also waiting for fire officials to deem this site safe so that McCormack's crews can begin evaluating the damages and adjusting their plans for the future. They hope to have a better idea of what those plans will look like by the springtime.